Allora, buonasera.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are so happy to have this opportunity. It's going to be a great opportunity tonight because through this meeting we can show you what the meeting really is. It's something that never ends, and it is based on the desire to meet with everyone and to build new things together, as it happened with the New Generations exhibitions that was hosted by the previous edition of the Rimini meeting, and it was also took around in different Italian cities, in different Italian schools. We met with thousands of teachers, students, universities. So it was a great, as we call it, movement of life, something that we didn't expect to happen, but it simply started happening. You know, the New Generations exhibition started here, as you can see from the images. It was created thanks to our friendship, to the friendship between us, and it was object of interest by lots of people, and Mr. Gentiloni came to visit the exhibitions, and other important people as well, such as the Secretary of State, Mr. Parolin. But we were so impressed by the possibility that the exhibition was for us, because we had the chance to get a better understanding of what is happening in Italy, because here in Italy we have more and more people coming from different countries, faraway countries, or people who were born here and their parents belong to different countries, so let's call them the second generation of migrants. So Italy, to those people, is their land. Italy is their home, and they want to grow here, to become protagonists here, regardless of what you can find in their ID card or in their passport. They feel like they belong to Italy and to this society, to our society. One of the posters of the exhibition, of last year's exhibition, showed these sentence, these words pronounced by Amia Zaid, an Egyptian student. She said, first generation migrants had to deal with the problem to get into the society. We must show that we can give our contribution in order to improve it. Well, we believe that this is the meaning of our exhibition. It was a positive message, it was a positive meaning, a different perspective compared to the common perspective that we also have when we read the newspapers, for example, on because when we think of migration, we only think of problems, of difficulties. Of course, we have problems, we have difficulties, but there is also something more. We never talk about the fact, for example, and this is a reality, we never talk about the fact that Italy is changing, and it is changing also thanks to those people, people who want to be protagonists of this society. And when the meeting ended, we started taking around the exhibition. We took it around Italy, for example, in Milan, in Alzano Lombardo, in Bergamo. You can see the images, Pietro Leone Institute in Caltanissetta, and the Intercultural Network in Milan, and then a very important meeting promoted by the school council and by the Rimini administration, where 500 students spent one morning talking about dialogue, integration, migration. And then we also visited other cities, for example, here for Novo di Taro, Parma, where the mayor gave the constitution to those young people who were born here in Italy and that are about to become Italian citizens. And then also Liceo Morgagni, Morgagni High School in Forlì, other high schools in Forlì, University of Macerata, Bagaglino Institute in Alcamo, and recently in Portofranco, which is an association that helps young people to study. And we met a few days ago, actually, August 13th, in Rimini. But not only schools, we also visited other parts, for example, the subway in Milan, and lots of people visited the exhibition. We also had a play which was called Foreign, that tells about the history of migrations, and it was a great play. And of course, our exhibition is still going around Italy, is touring around Italy, because it deals with a very important issue, which is, as we said, migration. Then we also went to the region of Piemonte, with lots of important personalities there. And finally, a huge meeting in Bologna with the Existential Meetings Association, and Mr. Affinati, a very famous writer, also took part in that meeting. Lots of schools who teach Italian to foreigners, and also the Archbishop of Bologna participated, Mr. Zuppi. And then in Bologna, it was easy for us to talk about those themes, those issues, because some students in Bologna, they decided to set up a new exhibition that took inspiration by our exhibition for the event Campus by Night. The Campus by Night event, which is a university event organized by university students, and by setting up that exhibition, those Italian students, university students, they met up with different foreign students, and they had conversations with them. They had the chance to meet them. Two more initiatives, for example, in the Marche region, in Monte Cosaro, in the province of Macerata. And here, as you can see, for example, there were 30 African students came here to Rimini because they want to testimony their participation in that event, in that exhibition. And then also the Religious Studies Center in Seveso in Milan, where different communities cooperate. There was a special event, there was a concert, they also had invited the responsible for different ethnic communities, and also the Ingenua Baldanza Cultural Association in Piacenza, with the participation of the local bishop. And apart from all these big and important events, we always want to say that the exhibition gave birth to important friendships, big friendships, unexpected friendships. For example, with this woman, Valeria Tavija Collina, after a great sorrow for her son's death, who was killed during the terrorist attack in London. 8 people were killed, and he was killed by the London police. Actually, her son had accepted to share with us his experience in a video, and after this video, we started having a friendship and a good relationship with her, with this woman. And also, together with this, she wanted to work with us for the future generations, to educate new generations, to live together with other people, with different people, because diversity might enrich our society, is not only to be considered a threat. So a very important friendship, as we said, and we're also carrying out different projects at school. Or another example, Father Claudio Buggio, the priest of the youth prison in Milan. He's a point of reference for a lot of second-generation migrants, and we also met with Valeria Collina. They also met together, and they are thinking of new projects, educational projects for high schools. Another example, the friendship with Mr. Cevoli, the comedian, and by the way, tonight he's having his play here on the Bible at the Rimini meeting. And after the exhibition last year, he wanted to meet with some of the young people who took part in the exhibition, because he wanted to ask them what they thought about the Bible and about the way he interprets the Bible. He has a very peculiar way of telling what the Bible is to different people, people from different cultures, religions, Muslim people as well. And also other meetings, trips, dinners. Friendship is the most important word, because it's what really made us be together, and this is what we want to convey to you today. We want to show you the possibility that friendship might enable us to have a life in movement, and this is possible, and we're gonna show it to you with our testimonies today, because this is what the meeting's title of this year edition is about, because we can show a different way of spending time together, where the different other is not a threat, is only a resource. If I choose to be with him, if I choose to work together with him, we can take new steps together, and this might change the society, as it happened with us. We were witnessing some big changes that happened in our society and in some high schools. So now we're having 7 people here, 7 speeches. They belong to different cultures, different religions, but they were all struck by our exhibition. The exhibition moved their hearts, and they also became people who wanted to convey their own feelings. The first person is named Dialla, and he is the youngest here, so let's give him a round of applause. He is 18, he comes from Mali, and he had to go through hardship. He had to go across different countries, the Mediterranean Sea, and then he arrived here in Italy, and he met us. He wanted to visit the exhibition on migrants that we had here at the meeting 2 years ago, and then he also became a guide of this exhibition, because he understood that in those images, in those words, there was something that talked about him, and talked about his experience. So he became a guide, then he was also adopted by an Italian family, and today he has become an Italian citizen, and now he's gonna tell us his story.
Good evening. My name is Dialla, and I've been living in Italy for 3 years. And I've lived with my new family for a year. My trip was very dangerous. During my first years in Italy, I felt very lonely and discouraged. Despite the fact that many people were helping me, but still I was wondering, why had I been able to leave my country, whereas my brothers had died in the Mediterranean Sea or in the desert? But thanks to someone looking at me with love, I changed. The exhibition Migrants was very important for me, and I decided to participate after one of my teachers invited me to know better the issue of migration. And I was very interested in this and in integration, but I wasn't expecting such an outcome. Me and 4 other students met in the office of the head of my school, the woman who was organizing the exhibition, Anna Maria. And she was looking for young people who had actually gone through that trip, gone through all of that. And we became friends. At the end of the exhibition, she, Sophie, Paolo, and Matteo, her husband Angelo, immediately welcomed me in their house as if I had always been a part of their family. And after a few weeks, they invited me to spend a day together. And at the end of the day, Anna Maria told me, "Would you like to come and live with us, not only during the weekends, but forever?" At the beginning, I wasn't quite sure that was the right choice for me, but after a few days I accepted the offer because I understood that they loved me for who I am, despite all of our differences. And at the beginning they looked like an obstacle we couldn't overcome. There were other problems as well. They helped me start praying again. I had stopped praying when I had arrived to Italy. Also, I rediscovered my faith and I started going to the mosque. And Anna Maria would always take me there. Also, my family always prays before dinner, for example, or before going to bed. And so they asked me, "Do you have any special prayers that you say during the day?" And so they helped me in this. I also became interested in the Christian religion because I was fascinated by the way of life of my family. After a few months, whenever we would go together to the Mass, I would be struck, I would be fascinated by the fact that when I left the church, I was always richer than when I entered. And so, freely, I decided to convert. This religion values me, and everything of me is taken seriously. I also decided I wanted to take my studies seriously. My family is part of a community which welcomed me with open arms, and I found new friendships in several places. I started doing charity, helping other young migrants. I teach them Italian because I know French and other African languages. So, after custody, I was adopted and I became an Italian citizen. And now I can say it was all worth it, that dangerous trip was worth it. As I was saying, the exhibition stressed that we need to change our mindset to really solve the issue and tackle the issue of migration. There were many people involved in this exhibition, and this exhibition changed the life not only of people that took part in this project, but also the ones that visited it. We also organized this exhibition in the city of Messina, and the people that would come would always have some prejudices, but at the end of the exhibition, they always started looking at migration differently. And also, this exhibition spread hope among young migrants. When I saw videos of young people that had migrated, I also became a witness of the fact that we can be born again. I became a witness of rebirth. After some time, I had the opportunity to meet other people, and another young person was welcomed in our community. The families of this community opened the doors of their houses to us, and this has been very important. Thank you. Thank you, Dialla. Now, I would like to give the floor to Raymond Bahati. We met 2 years ago during the exhibition, and we found out about his experience and also about the choir made up of 40 young people that come from several different countries. Through music, he shows that differences can enrich us, can show us the beauty of people when they sing and play together. He has also taken part in the exhibition on migrants and on new generations. His choir is a place where different people meet, people with different origins, from people that come from Asia, from Africa. They all show how different cultures can meet and live together.
I'm so grateful for being here because I can share with you my thoughts and my experience. This is a real meeting amongst the peoples, and this is what I have seen in my life as well. I really want to honor this community, to these friends, because you wanted us to be here, you invited us here, and you invited us to share what we are and our message. I really admire my brother Diarra. While he was talking, I asked myself, 3 years, only 3 years in Italy, and he speaks Italian so well. Well, he is a great example for all of those people who come from different communities, different countries, and try and study Italian language. Because, as you can see, it's something which is possible. What happened to us 8 years ago? 8 years ago, we wanted to try and do something different. We wanted to put together different religions, different nationalities. 95% of people in our group were women, and it was very, very hard. I can assure it to you. You need to be careful about everything that you say, everything that you do, because, you know, they are women. So, and you always need to be able to say yes. I come from the mountains. You know, it's strange to hear an African say, I'm from the mountains, but it's true. Well, we have a peculiar approach in terms of integration. 2 years ago, I went to Santa Caterina Valforna in Valtellina because I was about to ski, and I met with an 80-year-old man, and he had been married for 50 years. I met that couple, he was together with his wife, and their love was amazing. They were together and they were wonderful. And I asked him, but Mr. Franco, what's the secret of your love? And he got closer to me and he whispered to me, and he told me, you always have to say yes. So that sentence really helped me, you know, because I also understood what culture is about. Why do I want to give you this introduction? Because I wanted to understand that observation is the basic element, is the first step in order to meet the different other. In our choir, in our reality, we have Muslims, Catholics, evangelists, different nations from all over the world, and still we can work together. We can put together those diversities. Of course, it's difficult, okay? We have our difficulties, our problems. It's difficult, but you need to be able to observe everything carefully. And this job that I've been doing really enabled me to use my studies properly. I graduated in psychology at the Catholic University of Milan, and my mother used to tell me, "What are you going to do with this degree?" And I used to tell her, "Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens." Well, this laboratory, this experiment, really enabled me to use my knowledge and my skills. Well, 2 years ago, our brothers and sisters belonging to the second and third generation of migrants took part in our choir, and it was the fulfillment of my dream, because you know, when the different other is accepted by someone else with love, and when the different other is reproached with love, he understands that he is loved by other people, and he accepts to belong to that society, to that culture. We should all live like that. We should all interact one another like that. Because if we only had one one society or one culture, it wouldn't be enough, you know, whereas we can enrich ourselves if we meet with a different other, with someone who prays in a different way than I do, who eats in a different way than I do. Otherwise, we simply stick to the things that we know and we think, and we grow up and they think that our word is the real word, but it's not true. So this is why I'm very thankful for the invitation that I received by the Rimini meeting, you know, because our reality, our choir is so important. The church in Paris, when they had all the problems with the banlieue, with the peripheries, well, the church said, it's my fault. Why didn't we manage to accept and to understand that we were undergoing a change? Why didn't we realize that something was happening in our society and we didn't look at it? Well, and I thought in Italy we are lucky because Italy was good enough to learn by other people's mistakes. We need to think of our society, which is changing, a society which is more and more integrated. And we need to think about that, otherwise we only make confusion. So I want to conclude by reading something to you. 3 months ago, I was contacted by some editors who wanted me to write a book on inclusion and migration. So I've been writing for 3 months, and this morning I was thinking about what to say today, this afternoon, and I started writing. And I asked myself, but I am from Congo, and I've spent 17 years here in Italy, and what did I receive? What did I receive from Italy? What did I give to Italy? I thought about this and I started writing down a few words, and I want to share with you some words of what I wrote this morning. I asked myself, how is it possible that a color gives birth to so many divisions between human beings, people with flesh, bones and brain? Why does it happen to you? Why do you reject the black light, people? Why do you deny the power of the universe? What makes everything shine? What makes everything shine is the black, the absolute black. You hate different people from you, but that's because you are afraid of them. I haven't chosen to be black. I haven't chosen to live in the most beautiful continent in the world and in the poorest continent in the world. I haven't chosen it. They say that the black is what you see when no other visible light goes to the eye. What does it mean? That people are looking, but are looking for in the wrong direction. If you saw the light of the entire universe, well, you would realize that everything can be enclosed in one place, your heart. And heart is not black. It's my pigments that make me black. It's your pigments that show you what black is. But you know, for example, children, they don't care about those differences because they still are haven't been corrupted by prejudice, and they are still pure and they still love the light. They also understood, children, they also understood maybe that it's only through the meeting with a different other that you can see the light lying in everybody's heart. I am black and I reflect a black light, and I'm black because I am protected by solar UV rays, and I'm sorry, but this is the way it is, and I'm quite lucky. I know I was black, I am black, I will always be black. I was created here on earth, I will die on this earth, and then I will be born again. Today, my territory, my continent has been prey to other people's greed. Well, actually, we share the same blood, we share the same flesh. We all we should think of Lucy, that person that gave life to every one of us. You rejected me, you didn't give me any food, but I gave you my chocolate. You ruined me, and you took all the minerals from my land. We have never wanted those minerals for us. You exploited everything in our land, and we didn't want to use them because our ancestors taught us to share everything that our earth gave to us for our community, and community rhymes with humanity. So my final wish is the following: I hope that you will be able to see in everybody else the light of God, which is, in other words, the beauty.
I would like to give the floor to Novella Zavatta. She's 18 years old. We met last year at the exhibition. She was a tour guide. She met many people, and she was fascinated by the friendship that the friendships she found during the meeting, and that these all led to very other important events. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm 18 years old and I attend the classical high school at Rimini. I was a tour guide at the meeting last year at this exhibition because I was interested in meeting different nationalities, cultures, and beliefs. At the beginning, I was quite afraid because I never feel I'm good enough. But what's wonderful is that all of my fears were swept away by the fact that other people were interested in me. They loved me irrespective of what I was doing, so I felt valued and loved just because I was there. This changed everything. This changed the way I looked at me. I always used to look at my flaws, and instead everything changed. I became enriched by conversations with Muslim young people, Catholic young people. When I was with them, I could see who I really was, because every single time I had to understand the reasons why I was like that. And I was provoked by everything that was surrounding me. And then I just started following everything that was happening. I just started saying yes to everything. Every single month I would ask my parents to go to Bologna, to Milan, to Forlì, to meet these friends who had stolen my heart, my heart. And I saw something in them. I could not forget it. So I had always lived in Rimini, and even there everything changed. I rediscovered the relationships with my friends, with my teachers, and I even rediscovered the importance of my studies. And before I didn't have this kind of beauty. So since I had met all of this with the help of many other people, we proposed the city educational body to organize a meeting. After a few months, we organized it, and then more than 900 students attended it, because I was sure that what had changed me could change everyone else. The meeting went on for 3 hours, and at the end everyone was asking for it to go on. And after the meeting, so many people had stopped to ask questions to the speakers. This was just incredible. This was just one of the many occasions that we had to spread this message. We kept on cultivating our friendships. And what's left in me now is this explosion of life and the simplicity of a friendship that has changed me and that changes me every day. Thank you, Novella. Here with us, we have two teachers who are going to tell us what happened in their school when they set up the exhibition there, and what happened after the impact of the exhibition. First of all, Professor Giovanna Bacciocchi, who teaches at the Marignoni-Polo Professional Institute for Trade and Tourism in Milan. I'm just going to say one thing. When we went there to hold the meeting with 250 students, I asked the headmaster, is there many foreign students here? Where more than 50% there are foreign students. So it was really interesting to see what is happening in Italy, what happens in a city which has already taken a huge step forward in the integration of people from other cultures. And it is very interesting to listen to what happened after she had visited the exhibition here at the Rimini meeting. Hello everyone. As Giorgio was saying, I visited the exhibition New Generations here at the meeting last year. And I thought this exhibition is about my students. The exhibition helped me understand better my reality, the reality I see every day at my school. And what struck me was the positive approach of the tour guides, how people told their stories, the difficulties they had to face, the tragic events, but the last word was always hope. So I wished for my colleagues to see all of this, and I wished for my students to understand this. And so I decided to set up the exhibition at my school. And so we organized it. We are going to take this exhibition to other schools of Milan, because my school is part of a network of schools. We meet sometimes, and our students meet during the meetings and the conferences. So we set up this exhibition in our main hall, and we allowed every single class to visit this exhibition, and we chose very special tour guides, the students of two classes. Students of the Commercial Institute and students of the Institute for Tourism. Now you have to understand that I'm talking about students that often face many difficulties. They have a lot of problems at schools. So we chose these students with my colleagues. We chose them as tour guides. What we do is also workshops. We organize workshops that involve several subjects, and these workshops are important also for the final mark of every single person, of every single student. So we would give tour guides a mark, and this would be relevant at the end of the year. So I'm a science teacher. I decided to take them to the exhibition during my teaching hours, and I did this because it was important for me that they could see it. At the beginning, they were not really interested. They looked at their phones, but then I saw how they were becoming interesting. They started being familiar with the protagonists of the exhibition, and we teachers asked, for example, our students to ask their relatives the reason why they had come to Italy. And then they would have to tell it to the other classmates. Every student started talking about themselves, one by one, and we listened to all of them. This is not something common. Sometimes our students finish the school year without even knowing each other's name. So this changed our experience at school. Every student felt that they were listened to and valued. And they started realizing that being Italian or not shouldn't influence whether they were isolated or not. And also then we asked our students to choose a protagonist of the exhibition, and then they would have to talk about the person they chose to other people. So our students found out more about themselves, and then chose their favorite protagonists. And it was really interesting because, for example, my students were very struck. It is very difficult for my students to understand who they are, what they want, but they now have found the tool to get to know themselves. And they would not just repeat someone else's speeches. They were doing something original. And they started to believe that they could become protagonists of their own life, just like the protagonists of the exhibition did. Then our students met with Giorgio, Luna and Marvel, another protagonist of the exhibition. That was another step forward, because what our students had seen in the clips, now they could see it in the flesh. So they met with Luna, Marvel. Our students meet with a lot of people because a lot of people come to our school to give speeches, but they never want to meet them. Instead, they even talked about themselves this time, even tragic events. And other students studied specific parts of the exhibition together with other students, for example, other teachers, sorry. So some teachers decided to focus on the issue of citizenship. or they focused on statistics. They created graphs. We focused on a part of the exhibition and added something to it, something that was specific of our school. We studied new generations in our school, and they understood that school subjects can help you in your real life. They became passionate about laws or economics or maths. Do I have enough time? Have I run out of time? Okay. Our students became tour guides for all of the other students from the other classes. And they started sharing what they had learned, and they told all of this to other students, even asking very important questions. Another step forward, we organized a conference with several schools, and we set up the exhibition at another high school, the High School Severi, a very important high school. Our students, once again, were the tour guides. And I saw how young people could finally actually meet. The other high school's students were asking a lot of questions, and our students weren't afraid. This is just incredible. I saw how they were curious about each other, and they were relaxed and welcoming. And moreover, 3 of our students also shared their personal history. And even though they told tragic events, you could see hope in their eyes. The same hope that I could see in the eyes of the protagonists of the exhibition at the meeting. Now, since you have mentioned them a lot of time, I would like to give the floor to Luna. She came to Italy when she was very little. She grew up in Parma. We met with her when we were organizing the exhibition on the new generations. We shot a video at her school, and then we became friends. She came to the meeting. She got to know our exhibition and the meeting, and over the last few months, she has become one of the main witnesses of this great friendship which is soaring all around the country.
First of all, I need to tell you, you are beautiful. I know a lot of you, people from the public, because I've met you throughout this year, and it's beautiful, really. Well, I think all has been already said, but still. 1 year ago, I said yes to someone on the phone who asked me to come to the meeting. I didn't know what the meeting was about, and a few months later I said yes once again, and I said yes to Giorgio because he had called me to go to a school, to a high school for a conference, and it was my decision. It wasn't out of curiosity, it was because I was sure. I had decided that I wanted to go together with Paolucci to high schools. Why do I use this word, decision? I use this word because to decide means to think about what you're doing. It means to think why you want to do something. And I wanted to go to talk about myself in high schools, even though maybe I didn't know how to use the precise words. For that reason, the forces that move history are the same that make men happy. Well, of course, I didn't even know that sentence at that time, but the concept, the idea behind it was the same. I wanted to go to high schools to tell my story for my fulfillment. I didn't want to save anybody. I just wanted to rediscover myself thanks to the questions by high school students. Why? Because the same thing had happened here at the meeting. 1 year ago I entered here, I came here to the meeting with the certainty of who I was. I was sure at that time of who I was, of my roots, of my origins. I knew everything about me, but then once I came here, and when I started answering the questions asked by the people who were here, I started realizing that there were some aspects of my life and of my history that I had never considered before, and there was a revolution for me. Imagine this, you suddenly realize that the only way to know who you really are is to be in front of another person, is to answer someone else's questions. This was beautiful. And also for trivial issues, you know. For example, I remember last year one lady, she asked me, how do you cook couscous? Well, that's a trivial question, you know, but answering that question, I realized that I didn't really know how to cook couscous, and I told her, well, I need to call my mom and I'll tell you the recipe. So this is why it was so good for me, because at that time I understood that the different other is always a good for me, and this is why today I can say yes to Paolucci, to Mr. Paolucci, and I say yes because I want to tell you about my story to high schools. Of course it's not easy, because you show who you really are in front of other people you don't know, and you show other people your story, your hardship, your difficulties, and also the beautiful aspects of your story, of your life. It's difficult because you don't know who the people you're talking to are, and you're afraid of talking about yourself in front of a stranger because you're afraid of the judgment that stranger might have, you know. And however, this doesn't happen. This has never happened. Every time I went talking about myself in high school, I've never felt judged. I've always felt welcomed and valued by those people, by those students. Why, I ask myself? Well, because when I met those students there in those high schools, it was a pure meeting, a meeting between two different identities, me and the other students. Giorgio and the other people together with me, we didn't want to answer questions. We wanted to raise new questions. This is why I went to high schools. I went there and I told my story, and then at the end I always used to say, okay, I've told you who I am, but now tell me, who are you? This is a very important question that we never ask other people. Who are you? What's your story? What's your life about? Well, if we talk about this with people, also with strangers, well, that's when a real meeting happens. It's the meeting of two different lives, of two different experiences, and it's something you should try, of course, because it's extraordinary, you know. Is it hard? Yes, it is. I won't lie to you about it. It's difficult because you show every aspect of you, even the darkest parts of you, but it's something that is necessary for your person. And I hope I'll be able to talk to all of you, even though there's a lot of you here, maybe in the next few days here at the meeting or in other events, but now I'll give the floor to the other people because there's still a lot to be said about it. Thank you. Marilena Pelonero is a teacher at the is a high school teacher in Caltanissetta, and she had a beautiful experience not only from an educational point of view but also and above all from a human point of view, because at her school at some point arrived some refugees arrived and unaccompanied minors, and the exhibition helped her to answer those questions, and also some other people were involved in this project, in this meeting between identities. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Paolucci, because you invited me. The best thing of this journey is the friendship that was born with him. This is why I wanted to come here and wanted to share with you what happened to us. I'm a high school teacher in Caltanissetta, and our school is a multi-ethnic and multicultural reality, because our city is a crossroads of people who come there, who go away from their countries and think that our country is a beacon of hope for them. A lot of those people are unaccompanied minors and they are attending our high school. So we had two choices in front of us. On the one hand, fear, on the other hand, to accept this challenge as a chance to grow, both from a human and professional point of view. We started a project entitled School and Person that aims at giving value to each person, regardless of the social, economic, and cultural context. So the reason why I took part in it was the human and professional challenge that was issued by those people, the people who I didn't know. So I wanted to try something new, to feel something new, not indifference, nor fear, nor cynicism. Of course. We had to teach Italian language to those students. We had to do something for them, so the work was hard, but we were willing to look at their needs because they looked at us in our eyes, and the only thing that they were asking to us was to be loved. And I also had to consider my desire. I wanted to go beyond my prejudice, to be really true with those people who I am, to overcome those prejudices, you know. And that project also involved our other schools, our families, and other people. So it went beyond the reality of schools. Today we talk about walls. We raise walls, we build walls because we are afraid of this new challenge of the society. This was the turning point in my life. I wanted to do something new. I started this new adventure. At the beginning they looked at me as an extraterrestrial, as an alien, and they were saying, but what is happening here? We had some difficulties at the beginning, but we kept on working. So of course the exhibition was very important, the New Generations exhibition, and it was a chance for me to rediscover in my everyday life that today it is possible to meet up with other people, with people from different cultures, and that this enriches you a lot, both from a human and a cultural point of view. At the beginning of last year we had 12 unaccompanied minors, and so we prepared everything. We prepared the welcoming, and some people had already joined a program entitled Food That Brings Together People, where they exchanged some recipes and also they shared their everyday life. They prepared some cakes and they also painted some flags of the countries of origins, and also they created some posters with communication guidelines. When the school started, the parents of our students were afraid about the safety of their children, but then they started to know those foreign people and they changed their mindset, and it was natural for them to invite them at birthday parties or invite them for lunch. And it's so moving for me because today birthday parties for young people is like the most important thing in the world, you know, because it's very important for them to create new boundaries and to get together, to share a moment together, you know. So there was a huge evolution, a huge improvement in terms of our students, because some Italian students started tutoring their African mates, and even though we didn't ask them to do that. So thanks to the help of other people and of those tutors, our foreign students, they got an A2 level in Italian, and they were so successful at the end of the year, and they also got a B in Italian, so it was so impressive, you know. And also those African students, they also managed to be to work as tour guides in our exhibition. So it was it enriched ourselves, and our culture improved and was enhanced, without forgetting our origins. Of course, as our exhibition shows, the friendship with these people still goes on beyond the walls of school. And we usually set up multi-ethnic matches. We celebrate together Carnival, Easter, moments of joy and harmony that I cannot tell you that because they are so amazing, you know. And the students they were so thankful to us because for the way they had been looked, for the way they had been welcomed by us. They also took part in a project called the Food Collection, and they were so happy about it. These new feeling of happiness, of generosity, it improved the environment at school, and the African students, they became the protagonists of the exhibition so that they could communicate their enriched identity, knowing that meeting the different other is good for you. At the end of May, we hosted the exhibition, and we also set up a conference entitled Inclusion and Valorization of the Person, a Possible Challenge. Well, everyone involved in welcoming institutions, people, and the principal, everyone wanted to share the fact that this challenge is possible and it can also enrich the person. And Yusuf, the protagonist of the exhibition, wanted to publicly thank everybody because he felt loved. He found in our school a new family. He shares everything with us, and he can share everything, joys and sufferings, with us. So what was the result? It was something amazing because a new friendship arose, a real inclusion in our social, school, and human context. Of course, we had to work hard. There are still a lot of problems. The reality is not that easy, but we are really happy about everything that we've done. We told about what happened to us to Pope Francis, and he met us in a private meeting as a reward for our commitment, and he looked at us and he told us to go on working like this. He was like a father to me. He held my hands and he told me, go on. So I want to conclude with the words that he told me. And he told us, the experience of the gift is educational. It makes you grow from a human and spiritual point of view. It opens your mind and heart. This is the only way you can build the civilization of love. This is why I also want to thank my friends of the New Generations exhibition, because thanks to that exhibition, we managed to discover day after day all of that I talked to you about. Thank you so much.
Abdoulaye
Mbodj, the African giant. We met him because our exhibition wanted to change the common narrative. Usually the medias try and find someone who is right and someone who is wrong. Our newspapers, our TV programs try and highlight the problems, the issues, the negative aspects, forgetting what happens every day in real life, which is what you've just seen. There are young people who wish to go on with their lives and live a beautiful life, just like Italian young people. This is the story of Abdoulaye Mbodj. He came here in 1991. He came to Italy while his father was selling highlighters in Milan. And then his father managed to bring here his wife and his little children. So when he was 5, Abdoulaye found himself in a school of the outskirts of the city of Bergamo. He was the only foreigner, the only black child. What saved him was meeting the teacher Zulmira, his school teacher, who valued him, who bet on him. She told him, "You are worth it." And thanks to her, he started his life in the Italian society. And then he finally chose to study law at university in Milan. And then he became the first African lawyer working in Milan. We met him because we wanted to shoot a video telling about his story, to show that it is possible, especially if you meet people who believe in you, who think you are worth it. And then he became one of the protagonists of the exhibition, which is touring all around the country starting from September of last year, and the tour will go on over the next months. Thank you, Giorgio. And I also saw that, just as it happens usually in a real trial, you gave the floor to the defense lawyers, so thank you very much. Thank you to the meeting, Giorgio, all of our friends. I see here one of my teachers here. So this is really wonderful. It is really wonderful to talk before friends, friendly faces. So thanks to everyone who's here. Thanks to the people who organized the exhibition, who have been our friends and companions over the last few months. You've just seen my story in these clips. You have just heard about it, but since I only have 7 minutes, I would like to talk about my experience at the meeting and then about our touring exhibition. And I would also like to share what I think everything left to other people. Now, this is a very privileged audience. We are privileged because we have people who want to listen to us, who have questions. They may have different opinions on migration, but you are here, and this is what's important, so let's not forget about this. We would need more conferences like this all over Italy to face this very important issue. The first thing I would like to say is that why is this exhibition so important? As you've seen and heard, these are very moving stories. Paolucci was even moved because what we see moves us. And when we talk about these subjects, you need to let yourself be moved by something. And so many people were grateful. This is important because we gave other people tools to understand. This is not something we can solve very quickly with off-the-shelf solutions. We need to study these issues. This is why people come here, listen to our stories. They want real stories. What Giorgio Paolucci talked about did happen in Milan in 1991. My father was a hero, and there are many people just like my father, and we should pray for all of those who didn't make it. So we should pray for who made it and also for who didn't make it. The story of my father is real. And I think that this exhibition was able to break the walls we had raised. We need to interact with young people. It's important for us to take our exhibition to high schools because we need to work with young people. In the city of Prato, we did exactly this. Because, I'm sorry, but in 30 years, that our government will work people who are currently attending high schools. So we need to educate young people now so that our future Italy can be better. What I really like is that even the title of this meeting is incredibly interesting. When I read this title, when Giorgio Paolucci called me, I wondered, well, what does he want from him? I don't want to come and tell my story, move everybody. I don't want to tell it just like that. I want to do something useful. So first, I wanted to understand. Then, the title just won me over because, the title of the exhibition. Because the exhibition was about new generations. That's what's important, not old generations. You have heard real stories. The exhibition tells real stories, Luna's stories, my story as a lawyer. These are real stories and people could not ignore them. This is what characterizes this initiative, and we must take it all around the world. I loved giving speeches in schools, and I think that we should give credit to our teachers, because we always forget about their work. It's not easy to deal with young students. And also, I am a Muslim, so I will quote Saint Francis, of course. I would like to quote him because, I'm sorry, Pope Francis. He always talks about bridges, about mercy, about outskirts. I am fascinated by bridges, because when he talks about bridges, it means we need to connect two things. And I always say, when we build a bridge, what's important is the planning. And we're doing exactly this. We are planning a bridge of hope. We need to know things before we put them into practice. This is the real message of the Pope. And I really value more a real and inclusive society than a chaotic society. Last thing I wanted to say, when I attended the exhibitions, there were other migrants with me who had been less fortunate than me. But I always told them, we need to do our part. We need to believe in this. I didn't tell them, well, just study a little and then do another job. Don't go on studying. No. If someone likes a TV program about trials, about lawyers, then you can become a lawyer, and I made it. And so, this is how we overcome stereotypes. When I'm told, well, you're a lawyer, I guess you take care of migrants. No, I actually deal with hospitals. So you see how immature Italy is. Italians think that a migrant lawyer, of course, has to deal with migration. This is not true. But I'm sorry, other countries have already gone through this. They are more developed than you, than us. The problem of migration in Italy became real in the 90s, especially when the ship of migrants came to Brindisi. And then prejudice is my main obstacle in my life. As I've said, I deal with hospitals and old people. And when hospitals look for other people to take care of elderly people, it is not young Italian people who apply, but foreigners who are looking for a job. But if we actually want to tackle an issue, we need to take it seriously, to talk about it seriously, and do our part. As I said, I'm a Muslim, even though I am very close to the church. It is very important for me. But I want to quote Cardinal Martini anyways. He was a great person. He said something very important. He was very long-sighted. And he would tell us, who is an orphan of rights will be an orphan of duties as well. Without rights and duties, we cannot go on. Thank you very much for the attention. Thank you to all of you. I'm not going to add anything else, but I would like to ask you to wait a second, please. We have a surprise you're going to see after these communications. The President of the Republic, Mattarella, sent a message to the meeting on Sunday, and it is about what we've just heard. The President said, defending one's ideas and one's identity doesn't mean raising the walls of prejudice and of clash. On the contrary, we need to be aware of the fact that each one with their beliefs, their ideas can enrich others. And in this way, our world can be really human. We want to build this humanity. This is the work we've just started, the work that awaits all of us, so I hope you all will contribute and participate. Before the final surprise, I need to read a couple of notices. Our friends of the meeting are asking us to read to you. On the 24th at 7 o'clock, there's going to be a conference, and one of the speakers will be Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Issa, Secretary General of the Muslim World League. This is an exceptional event. We would like to understand it because the meeting hosts the first event in Italy the Secretary General takes part in. Now, it's very fun that Mr. Paolucci organized an exhibition on new generations, and still his Arabic is quite bad. He read very badly the name of the Secretary General. Once again, I stress the fact that this event is extremely important and also totally free. It is all free except from the restaurants, food and drinks. It is all free parking, sports. This is all because everyone contributes. Volunteers, those who organize exhibitions, and even visitors. Each one of us gives something to the meeting, invests in the meeting with their ideas, with their participation. But we need your support, so you will find some stands called Dona Ora. The color is red. There you can donate to the meeting so that all of this can go on. You will see some volunteers with a red shirt with the writing Dona Ora. I would also like to remind you that we created a Facebook page about the exhibition on new generations. There you can find all of our material, and also there you can find how to organize the exhibition at your high school. We already have a lot of bookings for the next month all over Italy. Lastly, we have a little surprise Raymond Bahati has prepared for us. He is director of a choir, but we need the participation of all of you. This is what's great. You cannot attend a dance course without then performing before everybody. This is what I want to show to you today, and you cannot refuse a gift. So I wanted to try something with you, because I know you can do it. Now, who already knows it, please just be quiet, be humble, and let's help each other. This is a very simple song in Swahili. It is a welcoming song, so this is important today more than ever. So I'm looking at the last row. Well, let's see what happens. Now repeat after me. Jumbo. Who knows the song? Please raise your hand. Well, only 2 or 3 people. Well, that's great. Jumbo. Interaction, sharing, also happens through cultures, through interactions, sorry. So please repeat. Jumbo. Muzuri sana. Wageni. I'm testing your prejudice, the prejudice you have in your eyes. So please be humble. Jumbo. Even those who didn't do it before. Jumbo buona. Habari gani. Muzuri sana. Wageni. Wakari biswa. Italia yetu. Hakuna matata. Some peoples in the world to wish someone a good day. Please don't go away, don't go away. Tell us what you're making us say. Yes, of course, you're right, sorry. Some peoples in the world to wish someone a good day use specific nuances. They ask you, don't you have any problem, hakuna matata? And the other person, whether they feel well or not, they always have to answer, I'm fine. Maybe they see, you can see someone who has nothing to eat, and they will answer, I'm fine. I want to be fine. So say, Jumbo buona, hi friend, how are you? I'm great. At my home, in our Italy, there's no problem. Well, there are going to be problems, but we want for them to go away. We hope there won't be any problems. So repeat after me. Jumbo. Jumbo buona. Habari gani. Muzuri sana. Wageni. Wakari. Biswa. Italia yetu. Hakuna matata.
No, patata, matata.
Not potato, matata. I know it's time for a snack, but please.
Ok, la canzone fa.
Now the song goes.
La prima volta
The first time,
canto da solo, ok?
I'm gonna sing by myself.
Seconda volta
The second time,
cantiamo insieme.
we're going to sing together.
Zambo buona.
Habari gani, mzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna matata. Occhio, adesso insieme, ok? Ripeti dopo di me.
Now repeat after me.
Chi non canta verrà qua ad
Who
improvvisare.
doesn't sing will have to come here and dance in front of everybody. I'm looking at you.
Dietro.
I cannot hear the back rows. Now it will be very fun for the cameramen because they will focus on someone.
Zambo buona. Habari gani.
Mzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna matata. Occhio, adesso col ritmo. Luna, hai visto? Hanno il sangue nel... Il ritmo.
They have the music in their blood.
Occhio, la prima volta
Da solo.
First time I'm going to sing by myself.
La seconda volta
The
insieme.
second time we're going to sing together.
Jambo buona, habari gani, nzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna matata, insieme.
Together.
Jambo buona, jambo, habari gani, habari, nzuri sana, nzuri, wageni wakaribishwa, wakaribishwa. Italia, Italia, yeah. Hakuna ma. Ora, la cosa più semplice,
Now,
facile, contemporaneamente cantando battute.
very simple. We're going to clap our hands while we sing.
Non lasciatevi ingannare dalla mente.
2 and 2. Please don't get confused.
Non lasciatevi
It's
ingannare
quite
dalla
simple,
mente.
quite natural.
2
2 and 2.
Faremo. Collaborate. Ocho, ok?
Please
Quindi,
be
due.
careful.
Se qualcuno sa
2
fare-
and 2.
ok? Quindi, ocho.
Don't get confused.
2, 3,
1, 2, 3, 4.
2, vi guardo, ocho.
1, 2.
È matematica, occhio.
It's maths.
Oh. Esatto, attenti. Col canto, Giambo, go.
Now singing.
Go, Giambo buona.
Jambo, habarigani, muzuri sana, muzuri, wageni, wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna ma. Stai perdendo già la tua identità.
You're already losing your identity. Well, they used to say that people from Morocco has the rhythm in their blood, but I don't think it's true. Wait, it's not over. This is a welcome song, so this is the real gift. Yes, you need to dance, so please stand up.
I più vecchi danno l'esempio, occhio.
The oldest, please lead by example.
Occhio. C'è un
Careful.
palco qui.
Now there's a stage here. We see you.
La partecipazione, chi non
Now,
si muoverà,
who
faccia
doesn't dance
ballare, ok?
will come here and dance in front of everyone.
La sinistra, la vostra sinistra.
Your left,
Sinistra, ok. Vedi la nostra destra.
so our right.
Abbraccio. Normale. Uno,
We'll do this. 1, 2.
la vostra destra.
Your
la
right,
sinistra. Due.
so our left. We'll do this.
Ok.
3.
Ocho,
1, 2, 3.
fa-
So, ready? Go.
Tempo. Vai. Oh. Un, due. Sorriso.
Please smile.
Lasciatevi andare. Soie. Un,
Just
due.
get loose.
Mani sulla testa.
Get lost.
A ritmo. Mani sulle spalle.
Hands on your head, hands on your shoulders, head,
Spalle,
shoulders,
i fianchi,
and then on your
i
waist.
fianchi. Giriamo il bacino,
But
ok?
you need to do this.
Calma. I medici che sono lì fuori hanno detto che
The doctors out there said this is very good for your bones,
la cellulite fa bene.
to your cellulite.
Ocho. Andiamo. Quindi
So let's go.
a ritmo, non andate a caso, è matematica pura. Quindi fa 1, 2, uno, testa,
So
spalle,
it's simple maths, okay? Let's go.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4, go. 1, 2. Sorriso, Dicono che i mediterranei hanno il sorriso sulle
They say that the Mediterranean people always smile, so please smile. Head, shoulders, and waist. Head, shoulders, and now your waist. Now singing.
Sambo buono, abarigani, nusuri sana, e poi wageni, wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna mata, exact. Occhio, chi ballerà
Now,
bene, cena
who's
gratis,
good at
aperto da
dancing
Paolucci.
will get a free dinner. It's on Paolucci.
Col canto, 1,
Singing.
2,
1, 2.
2, 3, Zambo, go! Zambo!
Jambo buona, abarigani, muzuri sana, wageni, wakaribishwa, Italia yetu, hakuna ma. Bravissimi a tutti.
Great job, everyone.
Questo è l'Italia che vogliamo.
This is the Italy we want. I already talk like a